Phil Jackson. Not to be confused with
Phil Jackson, the coach.
The greatest coach
of all time. Yeah.
Welcome to Inside the Lab.
Thank you very much.
How you
Thanks,
doing,
man. I'm doing very well.
You're doing great.
Good to see you.
Now, we at Inside the Lab have followed you at Cypher Sound. Was taking personal at the UCB Theater and 153 East 3rd Street, LES. And it's been amazing to see how you guys can mix in improvising with hip-hop stories and not make it seem like, okay, these guys have pre-planned jokes and they don't really know the artist. A lot of it's like you guys kind of actually know the artist. What's your history with hip-hop?
Well, me personally, I mean, I grew up on hip-hop. Very much a hip-hop fan. I grew up on artists like Busta Rhymes, 97, like Diddy era, all that stuff. Like, of course, Kanye West, people like that. So I'm a fan of hip-hop. I am a fan of Cypher Sounds. It was before I met him, which was a weird thing. But he's a great dude, and the show has been a pleasure. And I think, there's varying degrees of hip-hop knowledge on the team, but I think fundamentally everybody's just very, very funny and kind of wants to make good comedy. So I think that's why the show is a success. Just looking for that discovery when we perform as a collective.
So how, as a person, do you think your personality factors into how you are as a comedian?
I think that's everything. As far as what I bring to the stage, I think my comedic sensibility just comes from kind of my natural instincts. And so even with what you're saying, like with that short kind of anecdote, I think it's just kind of pulling inspiration from that and kind of bringing myself to the stage in a way that I think is fun. And also I think as far as like what you're saying about like we might not know exactly everything about the artist, what I really like about the show is we're not making comedy out of the fact that we don't know some things. We're using what we hear in the moment from the artist and kind of trying to honor that as much as we can, so that the artist, then it's not like we're making fun of them. We're just saying we find you really fascinating and here's something really, really funny that we're going to create as a group. So it's just been a pleasure kind of getting a chance to do this every Friday. Is
that how you was as a kid? Always just fascinated by things and just trying to go about it and try to entice yourself?
Yeah, man. I think I'm a very curious individual, and I think most improvisers are curious people. The things that I don't know that I'm interested by, I'll end up going and doing my research just so I can increase my kind of wellspring of knowledge and things like that. It helps kind of having your hand on the pulse of like pop culture and a lot of different things when it comes to being good on stage. So yeah, growing up I was I definitely read a lot. I read a lot of articles, try and keep up on things. So yeah, I think that's definitely kind of part of my personality.
Where'd you grow up at?
So I grew up in a small town just northeast of Philadelphia called Yardley, Pennsylvania.
Yardley, Pennsylvania.
It is what it sounds like. It is what it sounds like. I can't claim any street credit or anything like that, but I'm still a fan of hip hop.
You're not banging in Yardley?
None of this stuff. Just on stage, but it was good, man. There wasn't a ton of diversity, but I grew up in a nice neighborhood, and the school was nice, and it's a public school, and I ended up going to college at the University of Virginia, and it's interesting because on paper the University of Virginia it's not the most diverse school. Like there is a minority kind of representation there, but it's not huge. But it was things from where I was from were so much less diverse that by the time I got to UV, I was like, oh my gosh, there's black people everywhere. There's black people everywhere. So yeah, that's it's interesting. It's interesting. So yeah, I'm from a small town just outside of Philadelphia. Parents are from Jamaica. I went to UVA. I've been in the city for about 7.5 years.
Oh, so you're a New Yorker, basically.
I'm a New Yorker.
Basically,
yeah.
New Yorker.
They say 10 years, but I feel like you round up, right? Like I'm there.
I say after 5 because things have gotten quicker. Like you have to really adapt to this place, or you're gonna be out. Nobody stays 3 years someplace that's killing them.
Yeah.
So if you're still not figured out how to get to 42nd Street from 59th, you might just have to leave.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I am starting to like the Knicks. And I think that's the moment where I realized I think I'm like really a New Yorker now. Because like I'm from Philly, I'm an Iverson guy, you know what I mean? Like grew up on Iverson, like was at the game where he like...
So you was there?
I was there, yeah.
When he coached Jordan?
Yeah, it was great. And so I have allegiances to Philly, but like it's been like 7 years. Last year, Carmelo Anthony, Tyson Chandler.
Comments.
Man, these comments, like, I like this team. I think I'm a New Yorker now. So like, it was legitimately the moment. I was like, I think I'm definitely a New Yorker now. So
then, what are your earliest like comedy memories?
I think you know, it's similar to I think a lot of people. Like I grew up like watching You Live in Color for like the couple seasons that it was on. It was just great. Like all those people, and that show was just incredible. And I remember my family, we'd get together and just watch that together. You know, Eddie Murphy, Coming to America, stuff like that. Classic. But I mean, I don't necessarily, I'm not one of those folks that was like, oh man, when I was 8 years old, I was like writing jokes and this is that. That wasn't me. I didn't know I wanted to be an actor, a comedian, or a writer. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to like start businesses. So that's kind of where my head was at. So I had as many comedic influences as like stuff that I happened to see. It wasn't me like reaching out because I knew that this was my thing. It kind of was like a late bloomer when it came to realizing what my kind of purpose was.
And I'm pretty sure that there's always, for anybody successful, anybody doing a profession in entertainment, there's always two moments. There's a moment when you realize you want to do this, and there's a moment when you're allowed to do this.
Yeah.
So, like, when was the moment when you realized, yo, I want to do this? Or just more just a hobby?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, what happened was when I was in high school, I would go to movies with my friends, and then at the end of the movie, I'd be like, man, I should have been in that movie. Just like as a joke. Like so arrogant, just like, yo, man, I should have been in that movie. I could have been in that movie. And I would say that, and then went to college, kind of said the same thing, then got to New York, and then someone's like, you should maybe take an acting class instead of like saying that all the time. Yeah. So I was like, that's a good idea. I'm going to take an acting class. And then that even then, I wasn't taking it too seriously. I was like, this is a thing I'm interested in, but didn't know how to maybe get my foot. I was like, I'll take a class, I'll see how it goes. I started taking an advanced scene study class, and then I found UCB. And I think right around the second level of UCB, it wasn't a huge stage moment, it was in a class. Something just unlocked, and I had this scene where I played a homeless guy, and I was like, this is amazing. I want to, whatever this is, if I can do more of this and be a comedian, make people laugh this way, then that's what I want to do. And that class was with Brandon Gardner, who I now perform with.
Brandon Gardner.
So, I mean, I'm performing with people that like I was watching, you know what I mean, which is amazing and such an honor. So that was the moment. It was the second level class in UCB. I was like, I want to do this.